What's up, everybody, and welcome in to the College Basketball Countdown. I'm your host, Jeff Nadeau, aka the Big Man on Campus, and we are live on Pub Sports Radio. I hope you're all having a great day wherever you are. Thank you for watching. It's Saturday. We've got a mega card of college basketball. We got some absolutely heavy-hitting basketball games coming at you today. Houston, Kansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Gonzaga, St. Mary's, Carolina, Duke. The list goes on. There are so many games today. There are a lot of really interesting matchups throughout the card, and we're going to delve into several of them today, kind of get you ready for a big Saturday. One of the final Saturdays where, we have one more football game, and then it's college basketball until April. So there's a lot going on. Get familiar. I think a lot of people are going to be brought into the sport today with some of the big matchups. So we're going to get into all of them and more. I hope you had a great Friday night and are having a good Saturday so far. Feel free to say hello in the chat. If you're new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you get familiar with Pub Sports Radio. A lot going on here, whether you're UFC, NBA, whatever you like, Pub Sports Radio has you covered. So shout out to yourself. Shout out to you in the chat if you're here. Make yourself known. I want to hear what game you like today. If there's a game you like and you want me to cover it, please drop it in the chat. Please include the line if you can and who the opponent is. I don't have every single game memorized as to who's playing today, but we'll get it on and popping. As always, thanks to our boy Jose behind the scenes. And, let's check in, see who's in here, and then we'll get after. I will say, I don't remember offhand. I want to say last week I was 4-1 or 5-0 possibly on the show. I think the only one I didn't, I'm trying to remember. I know I had DePaul last week. I know I had BYU last week against Texas. Let me go through my other plays that I had last week. I had Auburn, Mississippi State under. I had Vermont. Ole Miss A&M. Did I hit that? Either way, I had a good week last week. So I know people keep track, but we'll keep track of it too. You snuck St. DePaul last week at 24. I think they lost by 23, so it was perfect. They got the job done. But shout out to you. Bill is in the chat. Billy Friedrich, Tori, Justin, Perky, King U, Steve, Julian, B Smooth, Big T, Deep Fry, Steve, James, OG Souls. A couple of good people here. Okay, 4-1. Beautiful. Can't ask for more than that. I guess the only thing you could ask for more than that is 5-0. But 4-1, we'll take it. Not Flush, what's up, my man? Canes Nation, how you doing? All right, guys, let's get into it. Let's chat. Let's start it out with, to me, I think it's the biggest game in the card. This is a titanic matchup between two, what they would tell you are top 10 teams. I've said before, Houston, to me, is the best team in the country. Now, I'll just tell you what I think about this game as far as the opener. I thought this number would be 4. Like, honestly, I thought Houston would be a 4-point favorite in Kansas. Maybe even higher, 4.5. I think KenPom had it at 5. That's not where it was. And this is the issue, I think, if you play Kansas here. You are not getting the best price. And I don't think you're getting a fair price. There will be people that will bet Kansas at plus 1.5 in this game. +1, +2. It's not a good number. And what do we know about public dogs? Generally, they die. And everybody I've seen likes Kansas here. But here's why I don't think Kansas is going to win this game. I know it's not easy to bet against Kansas in Kansas, and I could be on the wrong side here. But what I'm going to trust is we know, and this is not I think, opinion. This is a fact. Houston is a better team than Kansas. Okay, they are. I don't think there's any, other than like deluded fans. Houston is a better team than Kansas, and Houston plays a defense that I don't think people realize. I don't think you realize how good it actually is, and I'll kind of try to explain how they defend. Okay, so they have. Obviously, they're great in ball screen defense. They're absolutely elite, quite frankly. And what they do is they inch up towards the half-court line, and they instantly trap the ball handler, okay? And they look to they have other people on the other players, but they can immediately trap the ball handler. And they're so far above that it's hard for them to make outlet passes to the center, to the side wings, or whoever. This is a really difficult defense to handle. Okay. And it's one of the reasons they're probably the best defense in 20 plus years in college basketball. Now, someone points out Houston's 1-4 on the road against the spread. Understand what you're saying, though. Against the spread. In this case, all they need to do is win. And we've seen them, and I think we can make and no, I'm not calling you out as lazy, but we can make the lazy argument that they're not good on the road. But this is a team that went in and beat a pretty solid Texas team. Wasn't an easy game to do, but they found a way to win. Went in and beat a pretty damn good BYU team. This is the Big 12. Okay, this is the best conference in basketball. You go on the road once or twice over 5 games and win. That's impressive. It's hard to win on the road in this conference. But Houston has checked the box every time. This is a circle the wagon spot, I think, for Kansas, obviously. But to me, I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go with Houston here. I think Joseph Tugler is undervalued. I think this whole team is really undervalued. I don't think we realize how good they actually are. And I'm going to go with the Houston Cougars here. Let's dance. What's going on? Steve G says half-court press. No, it's not a half-court press. It's once you cross the half-court line, they're going to completely just trap the ball handler. And they do it to the point of they're not breaking what they call the line of scrimmage. You got to watch it. There was a guy that did a video on it. His name is Jordan Sperber. His channel on YouTube is Hoop Vision. I almost wish we could just pull Jose. I almost wish we could just pull just a slight amount from that video and just show it. But we obviously didn't prepare for that, so I don't want to do it. But I think it is fascinating, the defense they run. It's so incredible. And I urge you to watch this game today because it's going to be fascinating. And I don't think you need me to tell you that. But I'm going to go with Houston here. I'm going to kind of go the other way. A lot of people like Kansas, and I think that's going to be a rough one. And that's the point. A lot of people are going to say, when was the last time Kansas was a home dog? Yeah, not much. Not much. But I don't throw in the fact that Kansas has injury issues. That's something we have to talk about. Kansas has injury issues. So all of a sudden, you have injury issues. You have, at times, turnover problems. You, at times, aren't going to have the personnel that you normally have. So you throw all that together, and all of a sudden, it's concerning. And this is a spot where you'd ask Dickinson to step up. And will he ever step up in a huge game like this? Look, if he comes out today and gives you 27, it's like, okay, great. But he doesn't generally do that. Kansas has no depth. Good point. And you're right. They don't. I mean, this is out of 362 teams, Kansas is 349th in bench minutes. So what does that mean to the layperson? Well, it means they have no depth. They only run 6-7 guys. That's not ideal because Houston is going to wear you down. Houston is going to just keep throwing it at you, throwing it at you, throwing it at you. I mean, this group has went on and won a lot of games away from home. I'm not real worried about that. Houston is going to muck this one up, rock fight. I'm going to go with them here. All right. Joey Harp says, good luck today. Same to you, my man. Good luck to you. Matt Swanson, a lot of coin flip games today. Really? Interesting. Alex Dritz said it's called a blitz on the ball handler. Well, that's what you call it. They don't call it that. Let's just all agree it is kind of a blitz. They go after the ball handler and try to push the ball handler towards the half-court line, to which when they try to outlet the ball to someone else or pass the ball to someone else, they're so far away that they can jump into throwing lanes, intercept the basketball, turn the ball over. They're also, and this is kind of interesting, and stick with me when I say this, their guards, like the Sheds and the Criers, they're very good at, weirdly enough, jumping at the right time to block the pass. I urge you, go to Hoop Vision. Maybe we could put the channel. I don't promote channels that much, but this channel, you should check it out. The video is essentially called the Defense No One Can Score On by Hoop Vision. It's a great video. And if you kind of want to get a look into what Houston does on defense, they're unlike really anyone. Miles Johnson says, I'm going to be talking to Houston -1. Yeah, I'll probably just play, I'm probably just going to get on the money line in that game. But I think Kansas should storm the court when they win. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Kansas has lost 5 games at home since 2018-29. Well, listen, then I would highly recommend, Billy, that you play them if you feel that way. But remember, this is not those teams. I think out of all those teams, this is the weakest of Kansas teams. Houston's secret is rebounding. Great point. They're always an elite rebounding team. They're always top 10 in offensive rebounding. So yeah, I'm gonna go kind of against the grain here and go with Houston. All right, let's go to the next one. And again, if you have a game you want me to talk about, feel free to drop it in the chat and we'll get over it. Make sure you put the line in the chat, please. Okay, off the beaten path. Vermont and Binghamton. Okay, guys, and this is kind of a game that I talked about Vermont last week. I think in the end, we just have to realize that they're just better than everyone in this conference. And there are 2 good teams in this conference besides Vermont, Lowell and Bryant. And remember last week, we told you that sometimes you just have to go with the better team, and it was Vermont. This week, Vermont played Albany, beat them by 22. This is yet another blowout victory for Vermont against the lower end tier of this league. You look at in this league, okay, they've beaten pretty much all comers. And over the last couple of games, let's just say the last month or so, beat NJIT by 21, beat Binghamton by 20, beat Bryant by 10, beat Albany by 22. They are blowing out the bad teams in this conference. And they're being bet up and they're coming in. What they do is they take you completely out of the way you want to play offensively. Binghamton want to run. Albany want to run. Vermont says you're not going to run. You're going to play in the half court. You're going to like it. And Vermont meticulously just destroys you offensively. They have too many good guards. They're too good. And they just put you into a blender defensively. Look at what they did to Albany. Albany wants to get up and down, be one of the fastest 20 teams in the country. Score 59 points. This number opened 15. It's up to 16 and a half. And I think, to me, I'm just going to assume that Vermont at home, every time they play a team like this, they're going to win by 20. Keep in mind, went to Binghamton already, beat this group by 20. Now you're back at home. I think right now this team's just on they're just on a tear. This is really good Vermont team. And this is what they do. It's what they do. Kind of a weak America East this year. I think it's weak every year outside of Vermont. Do I think this is one of the better Vermont teams? No, but they do what they normally do, and this is because they're well coached. John Becker is just a great coach. Martin Jordan says Kentucky, Tennessee. I'll definitely get to that one. Justin McAfee says who won poker last night? Yeah, who did win? I retweeted that. They were doing a live.
Stimmy OG won. Stimmy OG. Congratulations to him.
I'm not sure I know him, but congrats to him, whoever that is. Nice work. I got to get in one of those. It's hard for me on weekends though, because I'm a guy that likes to go out on Fridays and Saturdays. So, but I always, whenever I see it, I try to retweet it. By the way, for anyone looking for an update on the Jimmy the Bag negotiations, it looks like Jimmy and I are back in good graces. So that's good. Thank you to our friend Jose for mending the fence, if you will. Nasty Nate says, I won a little something. Good for you. That's great. Good work. Stimmy is indeed an OG. Well, good shit. Glad to see it. Good for him. Dabby Cab's in here. What's going on, Dabby? What's going on? Matty Ice, what's up? Billy Friedrich says Jose is a master mediator. Yes, he is. He's also a master motivator. All right, let's get to the next one. Florida and Texas A&M. Uh-oh. Little SEC action. Holy shit, this number's up to 3. Fuck me. Holy shit, man. Well, that's not what I wanted to see. I was thinking I was going to get a nice little 1.5 here. Fuck me. Wow. Well, that throws a wrench. That said, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm just going to lead on A&M here. This is the tough thing about doing a show, an hour or so before the games tip. Again, we're not getting the best price in these games. I still think 3 is okay. I think we see a really good performance here from A&M. I really like this team. And I love just how they are just relentless on the glass. They don't turn the ball over. I just feel like at home, the shots are going to start going in. They haven't exactly had a lot of great shooting luck. I do think they have, though, one of the best players in this conference in Wade Taylor. They're back healthy again. Radford's back in the mix. Everybody's kind of back in the mix doing what they do. They need to get another performer outside of Wade Taylor and Radford. They need to get someone else to step up. It's got to be either Henry Coleman or Jace Carter or Wildens Levesque. They need to get someone else to step up because Radford and Taylor can't do it on their own. They need to get more. And I'm hoping they get more today. They're at home here. We know Florida off of a big win. They just beat Kentucky. Now you got to go on the road. This is the kind of the toughness of the SEC. I'm into A&M here. I don't want to go any higher than this. I don't want to get into like the 4 range, but at 3, I still think you have a pretty good play here. Keep in mind, I think for anyone a little weary here, I think you are going to have a lot of ability late at the line in this game. And you look at the line, Wade Taylor, 82%. He's going to be the guy with the ball in his hands. You are concerned, though, because outside of Wade Taylor, this team doesn't shoot the free throw very well. Radford got arrested last night. What? Is that true? I don't feel like you'd pull that out of the air, but I got to look more into this. All right, let's take a look at this. And I'm usually up on this, but I did not hear about this. All right, let's see what we have here. Texas A&M basketball Tyrese Radford was arrested. The charges come from a 2023 incident where he fled police during a traffic stop. Okay, so you put this information out the night before a game. What a low-life move. He was arrested Friday for allegedly evading police during a traffic stop. According to police reports, last year on December 3rd, bicycle patrol at Northgate saw Radford disregard a stop sign while driving at Louise Avenue. Police say they activated the bicycle lights and approached the vehicle, but he drove away. Fairly trivial, if we're being honest here. Let's see where Buzz Williams is on this. Is he going to play? What's his status? Is he going to play? According to Buzz Williams, I'm not supposed to talk about anything legal, but I'm completely aware of every single thing that is going on and has been. I absolutely love Boots, as he calls him. I love his mom. I love his dad. I love his stepmom. I think in the end, all being a parent, what has transpired, I've learned a lot from it. Whether he will miss any games remains to be seen. Okay, so, I mean, I got to tell you, if some bike walked up to me, I don't know that I'd be that quick to stop. I think maybe they just didn't know. Bike patrol, I mean, who cares? Let's just assume he plays here. This happened last year. Who cares? It's not like he was caught with a gun or drug. Like, who cares? We'll just assume he plays here. And I think this line shows he's going to play. But yeah, good call, McElvey. I didn't see that, but definitely a pretty funny thing here. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, when we're at the mall and like some bike cop stops us, we almost don't give the same. Do we give the same respect to bike cops as we do with other cops? We kind of feel like the bike cops are like, I don't know. You get what I'm saying. Maybe we don't think that they're as real cops as the others. But yeah, I like A&M here. I think this team obviously performs much better at home. We'll kind of go against the grain, and obviously the thought that most teams on the road in these big conferences struggle. Florida coming off, obviously, the big win. They've won 4 straight. So I think, to me, I don't trust that they go and win 2 straight really tough road games. So I'm going to go with A&M here. I wish I could have got a little bit better price, but I'm going to go with the -3. I'm going to lay it. All right. Grease the bike chains of the legal system. I hear you. I hear you. Bike cops reminds me of 21 Jump Street. Yeah, it's just, I don't know if do we respect the bike cop the same way we respect the horseback cop or the police car cop or the, sergeant, in the different color marked car than the others. No. The bike cop, we kind of just assume, are the rookie, lower level cops that they don't put on anything that is difficult. I guess my thought also is like, what would be the thought process to having bike cops chasing after vehicles? Like, obviously, bike cops aren't going to be as fast as vehicles. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I got to tell you, if I'm Coleman or whoever this was, Radford, I'd probably do the same thing. Do we actually think they're going to keep up? Of course not, But I don't know where I'd like to see like where the vehicle was, all that sort of whatever. Doesn't mean anything. Let's go to the next game. I want to go to another team that's absolutely been pulverizing teams in their shitty conference, and that's the Morehead State. We all like Morehead. I think we can all agree with that. I don't want to get too crazy, but we all like Morehead. In this case, I think we like Morehead again. I think if it's not broke, don't fix it. I mean, I don't know if there's been a more dominant team in their league than Morehead. I mean, this team blows every team out they play. They win every game by double digits, and they just keep getting it done. I really don't know what else to say. They're a really good defensive team. They're a really good offensive team. I don't really know how else to swing it. Tennessee Tech is not a good basketball team. Tennessee Tech has already gotten beat by this team by 25. Tennessee Tech is not good on defense. They're not good on offense. They've just really struggled. And this is a bad conference. So when you have teams that aren't great and they're in this conference, they're actually really bad. Tennessee Tech's bad. They can't compete in these types of games. I'm going to just kind of go with a team that's made money, I think, for a lot of people. Morehead State's legit. They are way better than any team in this conference. And I think as long as they have kind of the right focus and just kind of come in and not take these opponents lightly, which they don't, they're going to get the job done. I mean, they're number one offense, number one defense. They're the number one defensive rebounding team in this conference. I mean, they're just a dominant team really at every level. And I think in this game, Tennessee Tech very downhill, want to get to the line, get to the hoop. You're just not going to do that against Morehead. I mean, they're just too good on defense. So, and then I'm going to kind of lean again, fairly simple here, laying the number with a team that has been really good. I was kind of concerned a little bit with the game the other night for Morehead against Tennessee State. They went on the road and shut that team down, and Tennessee State's better than Tennessee Tech. Throw in that Morehead likely didn't go back home. They were on the road here, so it's not exactly that difficult here. Kirk Dalton says, the snake, the cat, the rat, and the dog, how are they going to win playing in the fog? Ooh, wow, I like that. Very fan friendly there, I guess. I guess that's a one of the old KU chants, maybe. Listen, good luck, Kirk. I don't think this is the same old Kansas team, but I guess we'll see today, won't we? Billy Friedrich says, I was looking at Morehead first half. Yeah, I don't have much issue with that. Again, this team's been just kind of elite from really whatever standpoint you want to play them, but yeah, just kind of putting another group on your wavelength there. Nasty Nate says DMX fool. First of all, how am I a fool? How would I know that? I mean, listen, Nasty Nate, you are a nasty guy. We'll give you that. You're just kind of a rude guy. How would I know that? I'm not, it sounds like a Kansas reference. But you could deliver it in, I think, a little nicer tone. You're a bit of a miserable guy, I've noticed. But hey, can't all be nice, I guess. He is a miserable guy, isn't he? I mean, kind of a rude way to deliver it. Like, why don't you say, hey, like J-Ro, hey, it's a DMX song. Well, thanks. DMX fool. I'm a fool. How do I not know? Because I don't care that much. I don't sit here and worship DMX. Rest in peace. But I don't sit here and I don't know every line DMX ever put out. Oh, here it goes. Native sensitive. No, I just think he was a little rude. That's all. But him and I don't know. I find him to be a little, he's always been a little pretentious, I feel like. But that's it. I did not know that was a DMX song. Did Jose, did you know that? I didn't know that.
No, I don't barely know who DMX is. So
yeah, I mean, you're a little young too. Like, there's a lot of young people that don't know who DMX is. I love DMX, great rapper. Slippin's one of the greatest songs ever. But I can't remember. I don't remember that line by any means. I also have basketball in my mind, so I guess it just didn't put two and two together. I don't know if it's one of his most well-known lines by any means. Stacks has become a new member. Shout out to Stacks with the $. Love it. Pittsburgh Pirates, might be from Pittsburgh. Shout out to you, Stacks. Appreciate you becoming a member. And if you would like to become a member, we have a great group of people here at Pub Sports Radio. Make sure you check out everybody's content here. Become a member. This is one of the fastest growing sports betting groups on YouTube. So make sure you check it out. Hit that subscribe button, become a member, and support the boys at Pub Sports. A lot of good people over there. Jeff Slaughter, a lot of good men over there. And women, I'm sure. There's a lot of good women sports bettors as well. Billy Friedrich says DMX OD'd. Yeah, that's a shame. Really kind of an iconic figure. That's amazing. Jose doesn't really know who he is. That's fascinating. I guess we're all getting older, aren't we?
Is that a person or a band?
It's a person.
Okay. See, I don't know these things.
Yeah, one of the he killed it in the 90s, 2000s. It was right up there as one of the biggest rappers in the world. I remember he performed at Woodstock in 1999. He was one of the only rap acts, and he completely just destroyed it. It was impressive. All right, Martin Jordan says, that is kind of crazy. You don't know who that is. It's almost like even if you're a young person, you know who Tupac is, you know who Biggie is, you know who Jay-Z is. DMX, he had that obviously very interesting delivery, had that voice. He just had it, All right. Martin Jordan says, I know you don't do parlays, but DK has a 100% boost on a 3-leg. Can you cook up a good 3-team money line parlay? Yes. I think you have to go Texas A&M, surely. But I'll cook something up towards the end. Remind me. Jeff, what is the best season of Sopranos? Season 2, I think. Season 2 is terrific. Big fan of season 2. You have so many storylines. Obviously, big pussies, betrayal. You have the attempted hit on a certain nephew. You have Tony's coming to the realization that people will betray him in that life. Just a lot of good storylines. Meadow graduates high school. She kind of realizes who her father is or knew who he was. I love season 2. Plus, you get the Richie storyline. Richie comes in from prison, tries to shake down David Scatino. They get the bust out. That's a great storyline. Season 2 is the best. But as far as Sopranos, I don't have it as the best show of all time, but it is top 3 for sure. All right, let's get back to hoops here. I want to go with one more game here, Auburn and Ole Miss. And, last week we had both these teams in different betting situations, but we played them nonetheless. I'm going to go back to the well with another home team here. I'm going to back Ole Miss here. You can 3.5, I don't believe is the best price. This just might be where Jose found 3. There are 4s out there. This number's come down a little bit. I like this Ole Miss team. I had them on, Tuesday night against Mississippi State. Got the job done in a kind of just win flip game. They got the job done. All they had to do is win. This group's won 3 in a row. Went on the road, beat a good A&M team last Saturday. Just beat a good Mississippi State team. We've seen this team beat Florida. We've seen this team kind of do their thing. Now, there's a revenge angle here because they got blown out by Auburn already. They're back at home, revenge on their minds. They're playing the best basketball of the season. And when you look at Ole Miss, it's not kind of how we figure Chris Beard teams are going to do it. This hasn't been an elite defensive team, but I'm noticing 2 of the last 3 games, they've been pretty good on defense. I think they may have found something a little bit here. And I'm going to just kind of assume when you look at Auburn, 2 straight road games they've lost. I thought they struggled a little bit against Vandy, even though they did find a way to pull away in that game. I feel like, to me, this is one of those games where kind of the rubber meets the road, yet another road game where I think the numbers telling you that Ole Miss is the play in this one. I think Ole Miss is strong at guard. I kind of like how they can finish games out just because they're so good at the free throw line. I like Flanagan a lot, but we're starting to see them they have a couple of kids in the middle of this defense. Obviously, Musa Cisse and Jamarian Sharp that just anchor that defense. And I think you're starting to float everything to the middle of that defense. And I think Auburn's going to have to make a bunch of threes today. Something tells me this is one of those games where they don't. This Auburn team has really struggled to make shots, man. They really have. I mean, the three ball has not went down for them. All season they've struggled to shoot the three ball. I think at home, this is a nice spot for Ole Miss to get another good victory at home. And I'll tell you, Chris Beard, they're starting to gain some momentum there. That's a dangerous team because of Beard. He's just that solid. A really good number here, above that 3. I think there's some 4s out there, so you make sure you want to shop around here on this one. All right, Kingu, we'll kind of just open it up and just go through random games here. Jeff, do you like Oklahoma today? Feel free to right now drop any games you like in the chat. We will go over them. I'm going to go through the starred ones, and then we'll break them down. To drop your games, please, when you drop your game, please include the line if you can, the opponent, as much good information as you can. Kingu says, Jeff, do you like Oklahoma today against UCF? The line is 1.5. Oklahoma favored. They're on the road, but I live in Orlando. UCF isn't that good in my opinion. I got to tell you, man, I kind of disagree a little bit. I think UCF is just a product of the conference they're in, and I think they've done a pretty nice job all encompassed. I mean, look, they're going to have a lot of losses. They're not one of the better teams in this league, but this just shows you how strong this conference is because UCF's one of the worst teams, and this is a team that's beat Texas. This is a team that's beat Kansas. This is a team that hung against a real good BYU team. They were right in that game against Baylor the other night. But I think your sentiment is true in the fact that UCF are not great on offense. And I think that's where this group struggles. But they're an elite defensive team. And that's where Johnny Dawkins makes his hay. That's where they make their hay every year. They want a game to be in the 60s. They don't want it to be in the 70s. Now, with Oklahoma, we've seen them kind of obviously take their lumps in conference too. They're 4-4. Had a nice road win, but do you really call it a nice road win? Because everybody's beating Kansas State right now. But this has been one of the teams that's had a little more success on the road. I worry about Oklahoma because I don't think they're real good offensively either. To me, I have a tough time with the side in this one. I would more or less lean towards the under here. I think you have two teams that really generally want to make their bones on defense. We know UCF does. UCF play very slow. I think Oklahoma, they want to play more deliberate. They want to be slower. I think defensively, they're very solid as well. We know Porter Moser, when he was at Loyola, they were always really good defensive teams. I think for me, it's not a game I would bet. I leaned under personally. It's a rough game, though, from a standpoint of it's hard to lay 1.5, 2 on the road. It just is. And we've seen UCF be pretty solid in conference at home. Justin McAbee, the stacks play of the day is Utah Valley plus 5.5. Wow. Yeah, against Grand Canyon. This is an interesting conference, man, and I see your point here. So Grand Canyon just beat Seattle in overtime at home. And now they got to go to Utah Valley. Now, before they played Seattle, they had to go to Stephen F. Austin and Arlington and play that Texas road trip. Back at home on Thursday. Now they got to get back on the road today. I think scheduling-wise, it is tough. It's a tough spot. This is a game in which Grand Canyon, though, did kind of take care of business the first time these two teams played. This is not a vintage Utah Valley team. Todd Phillips is in his first year after Mark Madsen moves on. Utah Valley doesn't get as much talent as they've had in years past. They're another team. They want to make their bones on defense. But I think from strictly scheduling, I agree with you here. I think this is a pretty decent spot. That's a tough league because one night you could be in Texas playing Arlington, and then you got to go back 2 nights to your building and play, Seattle. And then you got to go on the road and, go up to Utah Valley. So it's a tough kind of quirky conference, right? You have a team in Texas. You have a team in Southern California. You have a team in Seattle. It's a lot of movement in that Pacific Northwest, Southwest area. So I think I see your point here from a scheduling point of view. Miles Johnson, do you have anything on George Mason, UMass? Not necessarily. I mean, more of just kind of a middling two teams in the Atlantic 10. Mason's just kind of an average to below average team. Not really running to bet on UMass either. I'd probably lean UMass. I mean, pretty decent offensive team. Really good on the glass, and that's kind of a Frank Martin staple, but not one I really have any interest in. Sleepy Lloyd says Texas Southern and Prairie View. Good game in the SWAC. I mean, these are two of the better teams. Obviously, Texas Southern's 5-3. Prairie View generally is pretty good in this conference. Two teams that I think are kind of totally different than one another. Southern wants to play slow, kind of in the half court. Prairie View wants to speed it up. I'd probably lean on I don't know, probably the home team here, but Prairie View can't stop anybody. So I don't know how much home court advantages really mean in this conference. It's not you're getting, downright raucous atmospheres a lot of the time at some of these games in kind of the lower end or in the lower end majors. So not much on that one. I guess I see your sentiment just taking the better team, but I don't have much on that one. Matthew Swanson, Utah State, San Diego State. Yeah. I think you kind of look at this game and you say, well, San Diego State's lost 3 of 5, but they're 5.5-point favorites. And why is that? Because they're at home. And what do we know about this conference? It's a lot like all the other major conferences. And again, I'm going to say it, the Mountain West is one of the best conferences in the country from top to bottom. It just is. At home, San Diego State, one of the best home courts in the country. Betting on home teams in this conference to get it done just makes a lot of sense. Utah State's been really good. Great Osabor is terrific, but I do feel like Jalen Ledee could neutralize him a little bit. This is generally always a good matchup. San Diego State's kind of been topsy-turvy at times, but a place where when they're at home, they just get the job done. I mean, look at the last, 5 or 6 home games. San Diego State's won every one by double digits. They're just a different team at home. And I think that's what this number is telling you. You look at this game, you say, wow, Utah State's lost once in like 2 months. I think this is one where you go on the road. They're not real good defensively. They want to filter through the post with Great Osabor. This is a spot where San Diego State's going to say, you're not going to do that because we're still the number 1 defense in this conference. Ledee's terrific. Parrish, Jay Powell, all really good defenders. I think this is one where San Diego State gets the chicken. I would lay it here. Baylor and Iowa State, says Big T. Baylor's a tough team to me because they've really kind of fell off offensively in conference. This team looks totally different than they did really at the beginning of the year. They've really, I think, just been a product of the schedule and the teams they're playing. This is a tough team tonight. I mean, this is a tough conference. Every night you're playing someone difficult. Iowa State is similar in a way to Houston. And I think whenever a team steps up and plays a team like Baylor or a team like Iowa State or Houston, you have to feel like you're going to come in there and have a real troublesome game. I mean, these defenses are just elite. They haven't played Houston yet, Baylor, but I have a feeling it's going to kind of shake out badly. This team has struggled to score, and against these teams, you got to be able to shoot the basketball. You got to be able to get up and down. That's a tough game. I didn't have much on it. It's hard for me because, again, look at Baylor in conference. They're a totally different team than they were kind of on the season. I mean, the whole season, they're 4th in offensive efficiency. But in this conference, they're just kind of a middling team. So I didn't have much here. Do I have any thoughts on UNC Duke? Yeah, I lean Duke. I think this is too many points. I think anything over 3, I would lean Duke. Now, if UNC was the dog, I would lean UNC. This game is just it's close every year. I think this is a flip to me. I don't know if either, there's a small home court advantage, but these teams have went to these places so much. I think these teams kind of cancel each other out. I didn't see 5 points difference between these teams. I just didn't. You'll see the occasional 10-point victory by a team, but I don't think it's this one. UNC's coming off a game which I thought they were exploitable in. I think Duke has obviously the bigs to handle Baycott. Guard plays terrific on both sides. I think it's a flip. I always take the dog in this game. And if you look at this number, it was 5.5, not out of 4.5. Might go even lower. I like the dog personally. Do I have any thoughts on Drake and Indiana State? Well, Drake beat them up the first game. You have to figure at home. The Sycamores get some revenge here. I don't know. Seems high scoring. First game was, I think, got close to 170. I don't really have much interest in a side there. Here's what I would do. Somebody asked about a 3-team money line parlay. Here's what I would do. I would go A&M. I would go Indiana State. And I would go San Diego State. There's a 3-team money line parlay that will give you a nice plus money price back, probably 3-ish to 1. Go with that. Guy asked me for a money line, so we'll go with that. So let's do that. Let's go Indiana State to win, get some revenge at home. A&M at home against Florida. I think they win. And San Diego State. I think they win. So there you go. Who asked about that? I forget who. There you go. The other one is West Virginia. Tough place to play. And against BYU. Yeah, this number's come down. This one, you're getting – here's the issue. You're getting the worst price at 7. This one was 9.5 last night. Guys, I'll give you a little hint. You're not going to beat the system betting these games a few hours beforehand. You're losing a ton of value. I sit here as soon as these lines come out and play them, some of them. That was one that definitely struck me as high. You know, going from Utah to West Virginia, that's tough. And they've been a little bit better recently. We saw them obviously beat Kansas at home. So I hear you. Problem is the best prices way gone, long gone. And 9.5 is much nicer than 7, you know. So I hear you. I hear you, Travis Todd. I just wish he'd have got a little bit better number. But 7's still a nice impost of points. Do you have any thoughts on Virginia Clemson? Clemson -5. Yeah, again, another team that struggles mightily on the road. Virginia, very backable at home, not backable on the road. You look at their 2 away wins this year. Louisville, who cares? Louisville's awful. And Georgia Tech, who for most of the season has been bad up until, a few days ago. I can't bet Virginia on the road. I just can't. And Clemson's taken their lumps. I felt like this team is a lot better, I think, than maybe their record indicates. But this is the problem with Brad Burnell. These teams play down to his shitty coaching level. But yeah, a couple of people asking about Clemson. I don't have much issue with it. You want to throw this one into the parlay too? Go ahead. Getting teams that are 4 or 5 point favorites and taking it away and saying you just have to win. It's another good one. But yeah, I kind of just lean even laying the number here. Virginia is bad on the road. Totally different team. All right. A lot of people asked about St. Joe's, LaSalle. One guy asked about St. Joe's. The other person asked about LaSalle. It's an inner city Philly battle. I like the home side, given that St. Joe's blew them out early a few weeks ago. Yeah, but I think the issue is the LaSalle Explorers are not a good basketball team. Fran Dunphy, his time has passed him by. St. Joe's is good. I love Lynn Greer. Big fan of the guard play there. Billy Lang's team is obviously much tougher than they've normally been. They've taken their lumps on the road. This isn't exactly a real difficult road game. And is a change of venue going to change much? They beat them by 20 the first game. Is a change of venue going to do much? I think the good thing for LaSalle is they did get Anwar Gill back, but they've kind of just pushed him in to play a little bit here. He's only played 19, 15, and 18 minutes. You're going to need him to play more minutes in this game. He needs to be in there. But does he change it? I don't know if a change of venue and getting Anwar Gill back for 20 minutes changes your fortitude here. I think in the end, St. Joe's is just better than they are. I think this number's about right, though. It's St. Joe's or pass to me here. All right. Coin says, do you have any thoughts on Vols, Kentucky? Do you think Vols going to Rupp and get this one? You know, I don't like road teams, but in these big games today, I do actually like the road teams. I do. I think Tennessee's just better than Kentucky. And it's not to say I don't like Kentucky. I like Kentucky a lot. But I think they are very questionable on defense. I think they are very questionable just with having kind of that cohesive, kind of veteran-like mentality. Just they have a lot of young kids on this team. This team is not real experienced. They really haven't played together that long. Tennessee is just a built, experienced, all played together for a long time. And I think what really bothers me about liking Kentucky here is both these teams are off a loss, but Tennessee's off a loss where they really had it ingrained. Tennessee's better. They're much better on defense. And I've always said what makes Tennessee dangerous is that they have the offense this year. Dalton Connect. If you can run against Kentucky, Kentucky's not going to do what South Carolina does. South Carolina beats these teams because they make them play slow. They take them out of transition. They make them play at their pace where you can only have a certain amount of possession. Kentucky's going to run. And when the rubber meets the road, when you play teams like Tennessee, the better teams generally win out. Look at Kentucky. Okay, prime examples this year. Kansas, better team at the time, beat them. Florida. I think when the rubber meets the road, when two really good teams play up and down, Florida's really good. They have a lot of good players as well. A lot of transfers, a lot of really good players too. Rubber meets the road, there's a lot of flip, kind of very questionable. Tennessee's better than all these teams. And Connect is scoring 30 or more. I think he's got – what's his average per game in conference? I've said I think Connect's the best player in the country. I do. There's nobody better than him. And I know people say Edey, but Edey's fucking 7'4". Connect is a Northern Colorado transfer, and he just gets buckets. Tennessee wins here defensively. I think that's just the difference to me in this game. Indiana State, we talked about. A lot of people asked about that one. Zane Cole says, I'm here at the game. The shirts Indiana State will be wearing, I printed those. Wow, really? That's cool. That's good shit. Awesome. So you're very much inundated in that game. That should be a great one. Should be a good, very aesthetically pleasing offensive game. Indiana State should get the job done, I would think, at home, as I said. All right. Western Kentucky, they put one of the fastest tempos in the country. What a tough loss they had the other night. Yikes. We're controlling that game against Sam Houston and somehow pissed it away. I felt like I was watching Rick Stansbury coach Western Kentucky. They did that a lot when he was there. I can't bet them the way they play. Very frantic, up and down. I'd lean over. Every game they play is high scoring. Troy, Georgia State. I don't play much Sunbelt. I could count on one hand the amount of Sunbelt I've played over the last 10 years. And, I remember Troy's one of the better teams in that conference. I don't think you have a bad play there. Just not a game or conference I really bet much. Cody Norton says, what about Bama late 8.5? Give me Mississippi State for a bounce back. Bama wins, State covers. Well, again, as we know, home road splits very, very egregious in this conference. Alabama don't lose much in Coleman Coliseum. But, we will see where their games can be a little crazy at times. They already beat Mississippi State in Mississippi State. It was kind of one of those games where it kind of screamed State and Alabama still won. It was a Saturday. Alabama just is good offensively against every team. And I know Mississippi State will try to keep this slower tempoed, but I don't know if it's going to work. Maybe you just keep leaning Bama team total over. I mean, there's a lot of variance in their games just with the frantic pace of play they have. But Mississippi State, they don't exactly play slow either. We've seen this team kind of have no issue playing in shootouts. So I kind of like the over a little bit here. Jason Dunphy says, what do you think about St. Mary's and Gonzaga? Let me tell you what I think about that. When I saw this number last night, Gonzaga opened 2.5. It's now up to 4.5. That's a huge move. we know this is not a vintage Gonzaga team, but this is a game that's just different. Sharp money's all over Gonzaga here, all over them. And it's at home. And this is how this series goes. Gonzaga will win this game and probably lose when they go to Moraga. That's just how this game is. These teams know each other so well. If you like St. Mary's, this is the best price. So I would play it if you like St. Mary's here. Me personally, I think Gonzaga is the shout here. I would have played it, better number. I didn't get involved. I just don't like Gonzaga like I normally do. But two really well-coached teams. Should be a great game late night. 4.5, a little high. We've seen Gonzaga when they step up and play some of the better teams in this conference, the Santa Claras, the San Franciscos, they've had issues. So I can see your point with St. Mary's. This is probably right around where you should have the number. I'd probably put it 3.5. It's not a lot of wiggle room, I think, when we really look at it. Do I have any thoughts on the Apple Cup? Not really. I actually like the Cougars. I think to me, they're a little bit more bettable to me. I don't like Washington. I'm not a Mike Hopkins guy. And I agree. I think Cougars are probably the play. Kyle Smith's a really good coach. The issue with Washington State is when you play Washington, you got to be able to shoot the basketball. They run a zone. This hasn't been a real good Cougar three-point offense. Don't really like either side in the game per se. Billy Friedrich says, what about Lipscomb against Jacksonville? Yeah, I mean, rinse repeat in the A-Sun. I mean, Lipscomb, one of the better teams. They're not the best team, but one of the better teams. Not running, though, to lay double digits with Lipscomb. They're not a good defensive team under Lenny Acuff, as usual. But they're a good offensive team. And I think that's probably where they win here. I think it's probably simply a case where Jacksonville just can't keep up. Jacksonville's really kind of struggled against some of the really good offensive teams in this conference. The East Kentuckys, the Kennesauls, the Gulf Coast, the North Floridas. Here's what I would do, Billy. I think if you find a team total on Lipscomb, maybe just play that. The constant you're going to want and the entity is going to work, Lipscomb is going to score against Jacksonville. But I don't trust Lipscomb's defense to lay a number. I just don't. I could see this 84-75. I really could. Why not just take Lipscomb's team total? Stay away from their defense. It's not good enough. Do I have any thoughts on Princeton Brown? No, I don't play Ivy League. I definitely don't play a back-to-back Ivy League. There are three conferences I don't play much of: the MAAC, the Ivy, and the Sun Belt. And that's why Fridays I generally don't play games. I usually don't have any bets on Fridays. Cards are short usually. And if I do have a play, I don't play a lot of Fridays until later in the season. We have those bracket buster games. It's not an Ivy kind of guy. I like Princeton, though. Very good team. I think a lot of the time when you're playing Princeton, it's never a bad thing. But obviously, look, if you're going to be conditioned to play back-to-backs as Princeton, they're off a really tough game, though, last night against Yale. 4 straight road games for Princeton. You should be able to beat Brown here. I don't have the number in front of me, but I see your sentiment. Tree Boy says, what do you think about UConn St. John's? Another game where it really depends on what you like. If you like UConn, this is probably the time to bet them. But if you're betting St. John's at this number, you're not getting the best price. This was 5.5 at the open. Sharp money came in and pulled St. John's out of the air. Sharps are all over St. John's in this game. Alex Karabon, we don't know his status. My thought is he probably plays. Is he fully 100%? I think he's definitely going to have a little bit of a raw ankle. From what I understand, he had a pretty bad sprain the other night. He is warming up per Adam Zagoria, so we'll see. Who knows? Sadly, in college basketball, they don't really give you much in the way of updates on these things, and a lot of the time they're never right. But that said, I think St. John's really has the tools to beat UConn. Obviously, we saw St. John's hang in the first game. They were 10-point dogs in the first game. I played them in the first game. They easily covered. Could have won outright, I think, at certain points. Their guard play is really good with Ledlam and Jenkins and Aline. Soriano is an elite big. He can rebound his ass off. They go pretty deep. Feels like they're finally buying into this Patino system. They're going to run a zone on you. I lean Johnny's here, but the price has moved. So this is, again, the issue with betting, what are we, 30 minutes before tip? Nathan Cernas says, what do you think about Robert Morris, Detroit Mercy? I was wondering if this game is going to come up, and here it is. That said, 23? That's not the number in this game. There's no way this number is 23. Robert Morris is not good. There's no way they're 23-point favorites against anybody. I'm not sure what the 23 is. I think this number is around 7 or 8. Call me crazy. I'm not actually going to bet this. I'm just going to tell you what I would do. I actually think Detroit Mercy wins today. Something tells me they win. Robert Morris is not good. They're kind of down to the level of like IUPUI in this conference. I think you just probably take the points with the home team, Detroit Mercy. They're going to win at some point. Maybe you're alluding to the fact they're going to be 0-23. Okay, maybe that's what you're talking about. I was going to say, number's not 23. Yeah, I lean Detroit Mercy here. Just take them as a home dog, if you ask. But yeah, okay, 4.5. Wow, not great. I think they win. I'm gonna just say that I think Detroit Mercy finally win today. Finally win, and I hope they do. Mike Davis, good coach. Used to be at Indiana at one point. His son was a terrific player, Antoine Davis. I want to say he's the best shooter in the G League. I think he has the most threes in the G League. Antoine, one of the highest scorers in the history of college basketball. Great player. But yeah, I like Detroit Mercy a little bit. I was always told when I was a kid, a very sharp guy in South Philadelphia, Chris Chill, told me never put money on bad teams, and this would be an example. Kevin Garrett says, whatever happened to Maxwell Smart? I remember him. I don't know whatever happened to him. He was an ornery character as well. I don't know whatever happened to him. He used to go on SBR. He was a commenter for a while. I don't know whatever happened to him. This is a wild business. You see people come and go. You've obviously, I think we have to realize at this point, I've been on YouTube in some form or fashion since 2015. I used to do videos with Peter Loshak in 2015. That was when I'm going on 10 years of being on these circuits, and I always go back to the one thing about me. You can love or hate me, but I'm a constant. I've always been here. Me and people like Donnie and Ian Cameron, Jimmy the Bag, Peter, we found a way to survive doing this. And there have been a lot of people that haven't. A lot of people have come and gone. There have been many of them. Mike Brenner. How many guys do you remember from that group? The SBR group. That they've come and gone. Nasty Nate, in his typical nasty fashion, he sucks dicks under bridges. Holy shit.
I will admit, I am a Nasty Nate guy. I love me some Nasty Nate. So shout out to Nasty
you have to admit, though, he is a bit nasty.
He's prickly, yes, but he's like a porcupine. You just got to love him and hug him through those prickly pines, and he's a great guy. Shout out to Nasty Nate. I've actually been to Boston, and we watched the Red Sox game together. He's a good guy.
Okay. Yeah.
And we'll get to see him at Publipalooza, so I'll have to mediate more.
Well, I don't know. I have no issue with him. I just think he's a little miserable, but that's fine. I know a lot of people. I'm like that. As far as though, I'm curious about his beef with this Maxwell. It seems like I don't know if that's true.
That I don't know. I don't know that one. And I don't know what happened to Maxwell either, but yeah. Shout out to Nasty Nate.
Wow. Raymond Reichert with a fucking wild blast. King Rail. He was a fucking lunatic as well. I want to tell you guys a story about King Rail. This is a true story. I remember this was probably 5 years ago, maybe. He had made it a point to claim that he was related to Draymond Green at one point. And there was a night where Draymond was doing his typical nonsense. And I mentioned how Draymond's a douche or something. he came in my comments spouting off, I'm going to fucking kill you. I'm going to fucking murder you. Never come to Vegas. And I remember this was right around IFBC, which they used to do. And I was a speaker at IFBC. This was back in 2018, I want to say. And he goes, you better not come to Vegas. I'm going to air hole you. Da, 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 da. I said, okay, whatever. So I go to IFBC and I'm sitting in the Golden Nugget Sportsbook. It's probably like 9 a.m. I'm supposed to speak at like 11. I'm there with Donnie and Morency and Ian Cameron, all those guys. And I'm sitting there. I'm eating a blueberry muffin. I was fat as all hell. And this kid comes up to me, this little guy, probably, shorter than me. And I'm 5'8"-ish, 3-4 inches shorter than me. What's up, big man? I'm thinking to myself, who the fuck is this guy? He goes, I'm like, do I know you? He goes, come on, it's me, Rail. I'm like, King Rail? And he goes, yeah, that's my girl over there. I'm like, I thought you were going to air hole me. What happened? He goes, oh, bro, I was just drunk. I was just playing. And I'm like, all right. And he tagged around kind of the rest of the weekend. It was bizarre. It was really bizarre. I was like, how'd you find me? It was bizarre. But he ended up being all right in the end. I don't know whatever happened to him. He was you have been, Ray. Yeah, I don't know whatever happened to that kid. I know Ski Prophet's still around. That's my guy. Ski Prophet's a good man. Sleepy Lloyd says Max was no bueno. Yeah, I didn't know him too well. The Keg, whatever happened to him? Yeah, I see him. He likes my comments occasionally on Twitter, but I haven't talked to Jason in a while. He was a nice guy. Watch your food and drink around that fool. Yeah. 5'8". Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about that though. I can't control my height. Fortunately, it is what it is. To be fair, at the time, you were not hard to spot. Yeah, but it seemed like but it was 9 a.m. It wasn't like it was like the middle of the day and everybody was around. There was no one around. This was like 2-3 hours before the thing actually started. And I woke up and went down there, and I don't know how he found me, but I guess he was just hanging around the book and saw me. But yeah, that was those were good times. A lot of good memories. That was one of my funnest memories in doing all this, going out to there for the IFBC. That was fun. That was a great weekend. Donnie, and I remember the Sunday we all went out to dinner. It was great. That was a really fun time. I wish they would do those again. Those were super fun. But I think that's kind of what like Pubapalooza would be. It's like a time for people to just meet people and hang out and do things. So. Yeah, I'm glad that places like Pub Sports are keeping up. Billy Friedrich said, just another example of guys acting hard. I'll tell you, that's another thing. I'll kind of end it with this, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. I've been doing this since 2009. I've been on YouTube almost 10 years. In 10 years of doing this, through going to Barstool twice, doing mob content, doing all this stuff, I've never experienced a negative interaction in person, ever. I've talked to people that wanted to kill me. I talked to people that want to threaten my life. I've never had any negative involvement with anyone in person. Even him, King Rail. I mean, he talked about blowing my head off with a machine gun. Nothing. He came up nice as ever, So it was very interesting. I'd pay money to black out and do karaoke with Ian Cameron. I hope he's coming to the Pubapalooza because I have not seen him in a couple of years.
Yeah, I believe he is. Last year, he got denied or whatever. The Canadian government said, nay, and somehow his passport got fucked up. But he was there for the first one, and he should be there for this one as well. So I expect.
One thing about Ian Cameron is I've never seen a guy that's like 35-ish that has all the earmarkings of like a 70-year-old guy. Like he everything about him is 70-year-old man. Like he looks old. Like he's also very tall, right? I never realized that. I met him and I'm like, wow, you're really tall. But he has like this persona of like he's just an old guy. Like I don't see him ever marrying anyone. Like I could see him wearing like a like a quarter, like a Mr. Rogers sweater, like drinking some tea in his room, looking at all the game. Like that's just how he is.
Yeah, he's a supercomputer. It's very funny, and then it's hilarious to see him with all the other cappers and as well. And when you mix him with like a Razor Sharp, who is go 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 all the time, shot go go, and it's an interesting combination. It's very fun to watch.
Yeah, he was a guy who I remember they used to break his balls at the IBC because he'd always go to bed at like 9 p.m. Like he was, It's super weird. He eats soup all the time. Like he'd heat up like random soup, go to the cat cottage for a couple of days up in Canada, wherever the hell he is. Just very, very interesting, character.
Yeah, and by the way, Bobano bets now as well. New Twitter for him, so I'll plug that for him. He got hacked. Classic.
He's a good guy, man. One of the nicest people I met doing this. I've known him for a long time, and he's another guy. And I mentioned him, just always makes it through. Always makes it through. And you got to give people – listen, guys that do this full time, you've got to have a little bit of a soft spot for it. This is not – as someone that's done content on my own for a long time, I don't have a regular job. It's not easy. It's not easy. And guys that are able to do it, you have to give them a lot of credit. You have to give them a lot. Drew Martin, he's a great guy. I work with Drew still. He's another guy. Gabe Morency, Cam Stewart, all those guys just find their way through. And you gotta have a little bit of a, like I said, a soft spot for that. All right, so let's wrap it up. To me today, I like Houston to beat Kansas. I'm going to lay the money line there. I like Vermont. Price got a little high, but I'm going to just assume they win by 20. I like A&M at home. I like Morehead against Tennessee Tech. Just keep betting them. They've been really good against the number. One of the best teams against the spread in the country against the number. And I'm going to go with Ole Miss. So we'll throw the lines. Vermont, 16.5. A&M -3. Morehead -11, and Ole Miss plus. I played 4, whatever. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for watching. A lot of good people here today. A lot of good discussion. We got to live a few blasts from the past, which was great. And I'm looking forward to keeping it going. We're here every weekend, Saturday, 10:30 a.m., breaking down the college basketball cards. I hope you all have a great day. I wish you all luck. And by the way, BR is saying you can get a pick'em on Houston at Caesars. Buddy, the whole world is on Kansas. The whole world. The whole world's on Kansas. Buddy, get your H's up. I can't do an H. Get your H-Towns up. H-Town, baby. Houston. The Cougars. I love Cougars. There was a great line back in the day from Mike the Situation. He has his unbelievable mass appeal. He loves everybody. Everybody loves him. He loves Cougars, and I love Cougars too, literally and figuratively. Hopefully later I find myself a Cougar, if you will, but I love the Cougars today to beat Kansas in Fog Allen. Fuck Fog Allen. Let's go, H-Town, baby. Raymond Reichart ends it with hashtag Nadu Crew. Get the fuck in. I love that. Shout out to the Nadu Crew. Baby.